In this video, I'm going to go over the layer features of the software. Anytime you add something to the drawing, it's placed on a layer. These layers can be turned on or off to quickly show and hide the objects that are assigned to it. For instance, suppose I don't want to see the trees in this drawing. I can click on the Layers button, find the layer for the trees, and then hide it. The trees are still in the drawing, they're just turned off for now. To get them back, just go back into the Layers dialog and unhide them. The program allows you to have up to 256 different layers. Each of these can be renamed to make them more meaningful. Each layer also has its own color assigned to it. When you draw something such as a line, you can specify that its color is by layer instead of something like red or blue and so on. So here we have a bunch of lines, and these have all been drawn on layer 10. And their color has been set to by layer. And if I look at the properties of one of them, you can see they're on layer 10, and the color, instead of specifying green or blue, the color was specified as by layer. So now if I go in and look at the layer manager, you'll see that layer 10 is blue, and that's what the lines are. But if I change this color, let's change it to purple. Now they all change to purple. Now you can override this if you want to. So we can go in here, select that line, edit its properties, and we can tell it we want it to be green, for instance, no matter what. Now that line will always be green no matter what the layer is. So moving on, I've already shown you what the hidden layer does, and that's here. But next to it, we have the column to lock a layer. When you lock a layer, the objects on that layer still show up on the screen, and you can still click on them and you can use them as you normally would, but you're not allowed to move them. This is to prevent you from accidentally moving them with the move command. And by the way, you can still edit their properties, you can change their colors and so forth. You just can't change their position with commands such as move or rotate. And finally, one of the layers is always designated as the current layer. This means that this is the layer that anything you create will be placed on. And you can see it here with the asterisk. You can change that by selecting a different layer and then click Change Current Layer. You can also see that up here in the layer drop-down, the current layer is listed there. So right now, anything I draw will be drawn on layer 0. But if instead I want to draw it on some other layer, maybe Topo, then I would select it and click Topo. Now if you forget to do this, and you will, you can always move items over to another layer with the Change Layer command here. Just select the items to move, then click Change Layer and select the new layer for those items. There are a couple of other layer commands on this toolbar that are very useful. So here we are on the Topo layer, and I need to add some more trees, and I can't remember what layer I put the trees on. So I'll click on this button here, Change Layer by selecting an object, and then click on a tree, and it switches my layer for me. Maybe you want to hide some stuff in the drawing and you can't remember what layers they are on. To do that, click this button, Hide Layers by selecting objects. And now just start clicking on the items that you want to hide. And when you press enter, they're hidden. And if you want to get them back, you can of course go back to the Layers dialog, or you can click the Layers menu and then select Show All Layers. One last note about layers is that Kogo points can have their own dedicated layer. To set this up, go to the Options menu, then Preferences, and then click the Kogo Points tab. The program is currently set up to place Kogo points on whatever the current layer is, but if you uncheck this option, then you can select a specific layer for Kogo points to be placed on. And now any new Kogo points that I create will be automatically placed on the right-of-way layer, regardless of what the main layer is set to. Now this only works with new Kogo points that you create with the Kogo commands. It does not work with Kogo points that already exist or Kogo points that you import into the program.